Hello and welcome to our Kentucky Derby 151 preview. It is Brent Hesse here, and I'm excited to break down this year's Run for the Roses. 23-year-olds going a mile and a quarter at Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May. And last year, what a race that was. A three-way photo finish with my top two selections barely being nosed out by Mystic Dan. So we hope to bring you the winner this year. We will go through the whole order, all 20 horses, plus the also eligible Baeza, who could get into this field and would be a player if he does. So we'll talk about all 21 horses. Don't want to have a Rich Strike moment where we don't even talk about the eventual Derby winner. And then I'll give you a pace projection of the race. The pace makes the race. Will it be fast? Will it be slow? Will it set up for the speed or the closers? And then I'll give you my top picks and my favorite long shots for this year's Kentucky Derby. Starting at the one hole is Citizen Bull. Bob Baffert back for the Derby after his ban, after Medina Spirit finished first in the race and then was later disqualified. Baffert back with two horses. This is the first of the two. And Citizen Bull won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile back in November at Del Mar. Looked to be one of the major players. Since then, had a winning effort against a couple of other Bob Baffert horses in the Robert B. Lewis, which you will see here. Citizen Bull is a front-running horse in both the Juvenile, the Robert B. Lewis, and his most recent race, the Santa Anita Derby. He was setting the pace the entirety of the way, and in the Robert B. Lewis was able to pull away from Rodriguez, who is also in the Derby, and another Bob Baffert Matticat Road, who was on the Derby Trail, and won comfortably. In the Santa Anita Derby, the pace, he was not able to keep up with it and faltered, losing by 9 lengths, finishing fourth in his most recent effort, the Santa Anita Derby. Does Citizen Bull want the distance? That mile and an eighth in Santa Anita Derby was his longest race of his career. Now he's going to have to go further. He's going to have a lot of pace pressure. The one hole is tough. He's going to have to gun from the rail. That's what Bob Baffert says he will do. But will he be able to get over in time and not be cut off by all these other horses? We will see. Citizen Bull, tough post draw and tough setup, having a need for the lead horse at the one hole. The number 2 is Neo Equos, trained by Saffie Joseph, ridden by Flavien Prat, potentially by Flavien Prat, that is. And Neo Equos has run in the Florida Series in the Fountain of Youth and Florida Derby, finished third in both those races behind Sovereignty and Tapan Street. And Neo Equos is another horse that is wanting to be on the lead. He was on the lead in the Fountain of Youth, just off of it in the Florida Derby. From that 2-hole, Neo Equos is another horse that is going to have to gun it from the rail. He is going to be one of the longest shots on the board, Neo Equos. The 3 is Final Gambit, Brad Cox's only horse in this year's Derby field after Tapan Street scratched out. He's going to be ridden by Luan Machado, and Final Gambit has never run on dirt. Was a big winner last out in the Jeff Ruby Stakes on synthetic at Turfway Park, where he came from behind. A last to first run, the pace was blazing, it set up perfectly for him, but he kicked in and ran away from the field, winning by 3 lengths, in which you see here on the far outside, went by them all, and Flying Mohawk was coming late too, who's also in this field. Final Gambit, impressive performance in his most recent race, but who was he beating? It set up perfectly for him. It was on synthetic. He's Brad Cox's horse, so he's going to take some money. I don't know if Final Gambit is the closer for me in this field. The number 4 horse is Rodriguez, the other Bob Baffert. You saw him in that race against Citizen Bull in the Robert B. Lewis. He since ran into San Felipe and finished third, 11 lengths behind this year's Derby favorite Journalism. Then shipped over to New York for the Wood Memorial and had a front-running score. Got a great setup on the lead, slower pace, was able to just take them all the way home. Grande tried to close from the outside. Grande was very wide that entirety of the race, both turns, and almost was able to get to Rodriguez. Rodriguez still comfortably won by 3 lengths in that one, but had the perfect setup. Will he get this same setup again? This is another speed horse. 3 out of the first 4 are all going to want to be on or close to the lead, as is the number 5, American Promise. American Promise, trained by the coach Dwayne Lucas. He's the most experienced horse in this field with 9 lifetime starts, and his most recent one, by far his best, in the Virginia Derby. American Promise pressed the pace. He was sitting second most of the way, then took the lead as they turned for home and just ran away from the field at Colonial Downs. Render Judgment, who is also in this field, came second but was way back, 7 lengths back. And American Promise, if he runs like he did at the Virginia Derby or continues to improve like he did from that step up from his earlier races where he was beaten well back in a couple of other Derby preps, 6 and 13 lengths back in his 2 races before that were also both Derby preps, then he could be a big player. He's the largest in terms of size horse in the field, big striding colt. American Promise, if he keeps improving, he's out of Justify, son of Justify. So if he can have that sort of pedigree, a Triple Crown winner, American Promise is an interesting horse at a long price, but we'll have to continue to improve. And what did he really beat in the Virginia Derby? The number 6 is an unknown horse, Admire Daytona. Japanese horse, one of 2 Japanese horses. He won the UAE Derby in Maidan, a front-running win. Another horse that was on the lead, but that was uncharacteristic. Only race where he's been on the lead and just barely held on against another Japanese horse and another horse also in between. So it was a 3-way photo finish that Admire Daytona nosed out. I think he got the run of the race, perfect setup, and was lucky to hang on for first there. Don't really think he's going to be able to translate having to ship again all the way across the country, across the world to Kentucky. The number 7 is the other Japanese horse, Luxor Cafe, who has beaten Admire Daytona twice already in his career. And Luxor Cafe is 4 for 6 lifetime. Now, last year's Japanese horse, Forever Young, was one of my top selections, and he ran like it. Was right there at the wire. Luxor Cafe, son of American Pharaoh, another Triple Crown winner. He's well bred. He's done nothing wrong. He's won his last 4 starts, including his most recent race in Japan, a 5-length victory. But the question is the competition there, and is he going to be up to the standards of the top horses in this year's Derby? That is really what you have to try to decide for yourself with Luxor Cafe. Can he be that same type of Forever Young type where he is a real contender? 15-1 might be worth finding out. The number 8 is the favorite in this year's Derby, and that is Journalism. Out from the West Coast, Michael McCarthy trains and Umberto Rispoli rides, so the connections might not be the most well-known connections in the world, but they've got the Derby favorite, and for good reason. Son of Curlin, and his mother, Moppetism, was a stakes winner, so very well bred, is 4 for 5 lifetime, including winning its last 4 starts. Journalism has beaten all the Bob Bafferts out in the West Coast in the Los Alfuturity, the San Felipe, and the Santa Anita Derby. And this one you're seeing is the Santa Anita Derby, where he was pinned in on the rail for most of the race, then was able to shift out in the lane, run down Baeza, who is the extra also eligible in this field. And Journalism got the win. He's been very impressive even when he didn't get a great trip. But he's run against small field sizes. 4 out of his 5 races has been in fields of 5 or fewer. So can he do it in this 20-horse stampede? That is really the only question for Journalism, because other than that, he checks all the boxes. He likes to run in the mid-pack. He won't be affected too bad by the pace one way or the other, and has been able to overcome a little bit of trouble in his recent races. Next, we've got the number 9, which is Burnham Square. Burnham Square won the Bluegrass at Keeneland last out. Won it by a nose over East Avenue. It was a very exciting stretch run where East Avenue had the lead the entirety of the race. Set some fast fractions. Burnham Square was in last all the way until they came for home, and Burnham Square got by East Avenue in the last couple of jumps. Before that, Burnham Square had won a race down at Gulfstream Park, the Holy Bull, then ran 4th behind Sovereignty in the Fountain of Youth. So had 2 really good races on the Derby Trail. The Fountain of Youth didn't run his best. Were those Florida horses, including Sovereignty, just that much better? That's something to ask yourself. I think Burnham Square was showing a great effort in the bluegrass to close, but barely got there with the pace setup that he wanted. He's going to be hard to really trust trying to go even further with a lot of other good closers in the field for me. The number 10 is Grande, one of the most lightly raced horses in this field. You saw him, if you watched that replay when we were talking about Rodriguez in the Wood Memorial. Grande was way outside. He was 4 to 5 wide on the first turn, was wide again on the second turn. It was his first stakes race, and he was further back than he'd been accustomed to being. Was in 7th place most of the race when he had been in 2nd place in each of his first 2 races on the backstretch. Then wasn't able to get to Rodriguez, but if he takes another step forwards, Todd Pletcher, Johnny V, great connections, young horse. Grande is definitely an intriguing horse for me in this field. The number 11, Flying Mohawk, was also in that Jeff Ruby Stakes. Now, Flying Mohawk had only run on turf before the Jeff Ruby. That was his first race even on synthetic. So I don't know if Flying Mohawk is going to be able to take to the dirt. Doesn't seem like a dirt horse based on his breeding. He's going to be a long shot, and for good reason, in the Derby. The number 12 is East Avenue. That's the horse that Burnham Square just nosed out in the bluegrass. And East Avenue is going to be another one that should inject some pace into this race. He won the Breeders' Futurity back in October at Keeneland when he went wire to wire. And that made him the favorite for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. He did not have a good start in that race. Citizen Bull wired the field instead because East Avenue was behind from the start. Then he tried to run off the pace or just off the leaders in the Risen Stars first race of 2025. That did not go well either. He went back to the lead in the bluegrass and was just a nose away from winning that one. So I think the message has to be from trainer Brendan Walsh and jockey Manny Franco on East Avenue. You got to get the lead. You got to push. I think he's going to be the one to battle those Bob Baffert horses for the lead. East Avenue, if he gets the lead, he's just going to try to go as far as he can, as fast as he can. And he is bred for distance. So I think there is a chance that East Avenue, if he does get on the lead, could get brave and stick around. The number 13, Publisher, is going to be doing the exact opposite, dropping all the way to the back. He has been near the back of the field in every single one of his races. Trained by Steve Asmussen and ridden by Irad Ortiz, great connections. The only problem, Publisher has never won a race. 0 for 7 lifetime, the only maiden in this field, but has run a little bit better in each of his Derby preps. Most recently, 2nd in the Arkansas Derby behind Sandman, just 2 lengths back, and Sandman going to be one of the favorites we'll talk about later. So Publisher can continue to improve. He's also a son of American Pharoah. He could have a chance with great jockey, experienced trainer. Publisher at a big price. Going to be hard to see him pick up his first ever win in the Kentucky Derby, but could he hit the board? I think there's certainly a chance there with Publisher. Number 14 is the other Steve Asmussen trainee, Tiztastic, ridden by Joel Rosario. And Tiztastic, just like Publisher, ran in the Rebel, actually finished behind Publisher in the Rebel Stakes, won by Coal Battle that we'll see coming up. But then he went from Oaklawn Park in Arkansas to Fairgrounds in Louisiana and popped for a victory in the Louisiana Derby. It was very fast that day. They went quick up front, and Tiztastic ran them all down, passed up Chunk of Gold in the lane, and punched his ticket to the Kentucky Derby. Tiztastic, another closer for Steve Asmussen out of the 14 hole, just like Publisher in the 13. Then the number 15 is Render Judgment. Kenny McPeak trains Render Judgment. Kenny McPeak trained Mystic Dan last year to the Kentucky Derby win, and also Torpedo Anna to the Kentucky Oaks win last year. But going to be much tougher on Render Judgment. 30 to 1 on the morning line, but taking a lot of money. This is the Tim McGraw horse, and he is down to the teens in his line right now, according to the odds. We'll see if that stays, as he is one of the least likely winners, in my opinion, of this race. His last 5 races all have been on the Kentucky Derby trail, and he has not been close to winning any of them, finishing at least 4 lengths back from the winner in all of them, including most recently in the Bluegrass against both Burnham Square and East Avenue, ran a distant 5th place. Render Judgment just does not seem to be the same caliber of horses as most of the others in this field. Then the number 16 is Coal Battle, and Coal Battle has more wins than any other horse in the Kentucky Derby field. 5 lifetime wins, and that's out of just 6 dirt starts. He's 0 for 2 on turf, but 5 for 6 on the dirt, including this win in the Rebel Stakes, where he got the jump on the closers, including a lot of horses in this Kentucky Derby field, Sandman, Publisher, and Tistastic, and got by Mattocket Road in the stretch run, held off Sandman, and Cole Battle won that day. He did come back to get beat by both Sandman and Publisher, ran third in the Arkansas Derby, his most recent prep, and that's why he's 30-1 on the morning line. But a lot to like about Cole Battle. He is from a very humble barn. Lonnie Briley, the trainer of Cole Battle, when he won the Rebel Stakes, that was his first ever win in a graded stakes as a trainer. So Lonnie Briley gets a big win. Cole Battle, now, does he have a chance in the Derby? That is the question. I think he's a great horse and he runs really well. The only question is the distance. It doesn't seem like the further that they go, the better chance he has in that 1.125 race against Sandman and Publisher in the Arkansas Derby. Came in third in that one when he's won at a mile and mile of 16th. So the distance could be the question mark, but I do like Cole Battle at a price. I think he'll run a great trip. He's going to fight hard. It's just a question of whether he can stay on late in the race when all the horses are tiring. Will he tire more than most? The number 17 is Sandman, and so now we'll watch that Arkansas Derby. We just saw the second race passed from Sandman and the Rebel. His most recent race is this Arkansas Derby, where he was able to go by Cole Battle, hold off Publisher, and win. So those three have been knocking heads in Arkansas, Sandman, Publisher, and Cole Battle. And Sandman got the win there in Arkansas. He's one of the favorites in this Kentucky Derby. He was really green in the lane, running, weaving in and out in the stretch, which usually doesn't bode well for having to go a little bit further now in the Kentucky Derby. That shows signs of being tired, but they were running super fast early. He closed into that pace. There's a reason why he's going to be single-digit odds. Sandman, though, I don't know if he's my favorite of the closers in this race. The number 18 might be my favorite closer in the race, and that is Sovereignty. He's been running his preps down in Florida, and 2 impressive races, in my opinion, for Sovereignty heading into this Kentucky Derby. 2 back in the Fountain of Youth. He was able to go by everybody from last to first, including Neo Equos and Burnham Square, who are in this race. And then most recently in the Florida Derby, did come in second to Tapan Street, was never able to get by Tapan Street in the Florida Derby, did beat Neo Equos again that day. Maybe his trainer, Bill Mott, didn't have him all the way ready to go that day because he already had the points to qualify for the Kentucky Derby on the Fountain of Youth victory. But a solid second place to Tapan Street, who would have been a major contender in this field if Tapan Street didn't scratch out. Not a bad effort at all from Sovereignty, the number 18. Then the number 19 is Chunk of Gold, another closer on the outside. Ethan West trains, and Chunk of Gold in his last 2 races ran second place against horses who both had the points to get into the Derby, including most recently in the Louisiana Derby to Tistastic. Chunk of Gold was closer to the pace. Tistastic got the better of the pace setup coming from deep in the field to run by Chunk of Gold. Chunk of Gold is a tough one at 30-1. It seems unlikely he'd be able to win this race, but maybe he could factor into the underneath spots 4th or 5th in this one. Then the number 20 is Owen Almighty. And Owen Almighty, he won the Tampa Bay Derby, but then came back to run 6th place in the Bluegrass behind both Burnham Square and East Avenue as well. Owen Almighty, another horse that doesn't seem like he'll like the distance. He already was backing up in the 1 1/8 Bluegrass to run 6th place. Now he has to go even further. A horse that's going to be out, trying to get out close to the lead. I don't see Owen Almighty sticking around towards the end. And then the number 21 is Baeza, and Baeza drew into this field. He is the also eligible. Rodriguez scratching out Baeza into the field now, and Baeza almost won the Santa Anita Derby at a big price, 14-1. Couldn't hold off Journalism, who's the favorite in this Derby field, but only lost by less than a length to the Derby favorite. So a lot of people are going to like him for that exact reason. Now, I thought Baeza had the perfect setup in that race. He got first jump. He was well ahead of Journalism, who was pinned in on the rail, and Journalism did still catch him in the lane. So Baeza, he could improve, though. He's only had 4 lifetime starts and he's definitely a contender now that he is into the field. So that's your 20 into the field, 21 horses we talked about with Rodriguez scratching out. And now let's look at the pace projection that I've made for this year's Kentucky Derby. As you see, we've got the 1 and the 12. That's Citizen Bull and East Avenue up on the lead. Neo Equos right behind them, along with American Promise and Owen Almighty. Looking at some of the bigger contenders, Journalism got him right behind those first two flights of horses, and he's going to be in that same pack as horses like Luxor Cafe, as well as Cole Battle. Then further back, you'll have some of the other contenders in this race, like Sandman and Sovereignty, that will be the closers in the field. So that's how I see the pace projection looking. I think it's going to be a fast pace. Rodriguez scratching out, that's going to take away some of the pace, but with Citizen Bull and Neo Equos having to gun from the inside, East Avenue, I think, wants to be on the lead. Owen Almighty probably wants to be as well. It is going to be a contentious pace. I think it could set up for some of the late runners. And now it comes to my top selections and live long shots in this year's Kentucky Derby. And some of the horses that I like the most. Here we go. My top selection for this year's Kentucky Derby. It is the favorite, Journalism. He has just looked so good in all of his races, has beaten everybody out west. He's running small fields. That's the one thing, but he's overcome problems. He's overcome some trouble in trips. Now, he can't get in that much trouble in just 5-horse fields, but it's going to be tougher in the 20-horse field. There is a reason to go against Journalism if you choose to do so, but he's the most talented horse in the field. No doubt he's my top selection. The number 2 pick for me will be Sovereignty. I think one of these two wins this race more often than not. Let's just put it that way. Sovereignty will be coming from deep. He'll love the distance. I think this is going to be his best performance of his career to this date. He's been primed for it, and Belmont will have him ready to go. Sovereignty, watch for him coming deep, and I think he's certainly the most likely horse to finish in the trifecta as he runs on for a piece of it. Then my third selection is Cole Battle. I love this little guy. He is just fights every single time, and the distance is the question, but I think he's got the heart and he's got the determination, and he's proven it with all of his wins he's racked up already. So Cole Battle, my third pick in this year's Kentucky Derby. And to round out my top selections will be the Japanese Invader, number 7, Luxor Cafe. Luxor Cafe has won 4 of his 6 lifetime starts, and he is just working really hard. He's got great pedigree, a son of American Pharaoh. The Japanese have done great in all the major races across the world, including last year's Kentucky Derby when Forever Young placed 3rd by just a nose. So Luxor Cafe rounds out my 4 top selections. And some live long shots if you want to spice up an exact trifecta, or you just want to take a swing for the win and you want a little bit of a bigger price than Journalism or Sovereignty on top. My favorite long shot is Grande. Grande, the number 10 horse, I think underneath Todd Pletcher and Johnny V, he's got perfect connections. He's a young horse improving, and now with Rodriguez scratched out, he is the top contender from that Wood Memorial. Grande ran wide in that race. He's looking good. I like Grande at a price. Second live long shot will be East Avenue, and that is certainly going to be perfect for East Avenue if those 2 horses on the rail, Citizen Bull and Neo Equos, get in some trouble. The dream trip for East Avenue is get an uncontested lead, not have to sprint the whole first half of the race, and then just hold on as all the closers try to come get you. If East Avenue gets that trip, he can definitely win this race at the price. It's worth taking a shot. I like East Avenue as one of my favorite long shots. Then American Promise, trained by D. Wayne Lucas. D. Wayne Lucas has won this race several times, so he knows how to get a horse ready. American Promise ran so big in the Virginia Derby. He's going to have to continue to improve on that, but he's just a big built horse, and he's an imposing presence. American Promise, you could do worse at 30-1 on the morning line. And my last long shot will be a closer coming from the back. That's Publishers. Never won a race. I don't think he'll win this one, but I like his chances to run in the money, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. So publisher by Steve Asmussen. That is my final long shot of this year's Kentucky Derby. That's the Kentucky Derby 151 preview video. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the Run for the Roses. Watch the ponies, place some bets, pick some winners, and have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the winner's circle.